right. Well, obviously you're my friend, and you own one of the cars, and it's like your new favorite movie, and you've seen it 30 times. You said on the show the other day, and
It's 31
I
now.
go into I go into things blind, so I knew nothing about the movie coming. I knew what people knew, but I wasn't getting into any of the complaint. Oh, it's the wrong wheels and the wrong blah blah blah. I wasn't getting involved
Yeah.
in any of that stuff. So the first
Yeah.
time I saw the movie was whenever it came out on Blu-ray or on demand or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed it. I remember calling you right afterwards and being like, "Yeah, it's amazing. I totally get it."
Hmm.
I watched it again, and I put it away knowing I had to watch it again at some point. And Nicole enjoyed it too, and we said, "All right, we'll watch it at some point." Finally, that time came. What is it? 6 months later, maybe, from when it came out,
Uh, I
ish.
think it. Well, I think it came out on Blu-ray or whatever, the digital in February. So yeah, probably
Oh,
pretty
maybe
close to
less.
that. I would
Okay.
say maybe
Well,
less.
whatever it was, it felt like a while, and
Hmm.
because the world. And
Hmm.
what I was taken with this time was that I wasn't trying to do any sleuthing or figure anything out. I just went along the ride of the movie,
Hmm.
and I thought it was a great movie.
It's a great story. Like
It,
just everything
and
about it. I mean, the way it's shot, the way they tell the story. Yeah, it's
I
all
think knowing the
amazing.
story though early, I think I was then scrutinizing the film as I was watching it
Hmm.
the whole time.
Hmm.
Even though I was happy with what I saw, I still found myself looking at oh, is that right? Is that right? Is that right?
Hmm.
Or are they going where I think they're going? Or oh, they're telling the whole story right back from when the Ferrari in the beginning.
Hmm.
All of that stuff, I think, probably because of my own brain, took me out of it a little bit. And none of that
Right.
was a problem this time. And I just was able to go along with what the director intended. And it was just delightful. It was really, really enjoyable. Like I really can't wait to watch it again. And now I kind of get where you're coming from with this whole thing.
Hmm.
Why did it speak to you so much?
I think because it was just an era that I've always kind of fantasized about living in. Just that whole golden age of, sports car racing and road racing. And it was just that perfect arc from like, like like Willow Springs Spiders and Speedsters of the late 50s. And then, ending up and obviously at the 66 Le Mans. I don't know, just those years for me are just amazing. I think that's probably one of the reasons I really love Hans Herman as a works driver because his career to me was just perfect because he started off in these, well, I mean, it was the first spiders basically that they had built, still with the kind of upright headlights, and then he finished, in 1970 with the winning of Le Mans with the 917. So I mean, his whole arc was just really cool. So the fact that this movie kind of covers that whole time period for me was just incredibly awesome, and to see these cars on film and the clothes, and they just seem to get everything right. I think we were talking about last week how they didn't even really have to change Willow Springs that much because it looks exactly like that anytime. So
Yeah,
that was
I
an
don't
easy
even
one
think
to
they
do. I
painted it
mean,
or anything, right?
they
Like it was
probably didn't.
exactly the same.
Right, right. They may have changed the prices on like what they sold the
Oh, the
hot
hot
dogs
dogs
for or
and the beer.
something aside. Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, other than that, like everything, I just love that era. I love the clothes. I love just everything about it. So that to me is kind of what drew me in initially. And then, of course, I've always been a huge fan of Ken Miles. Even before this came out, I knew about him and how he's kind of this underrated guy that was kind of hard to get along with, but just immense talent behind the wheel and just all of these. I've never really been a huge Shelby fan. Like I've never really been a Mustang guy, and maybe part of that is because all the rich kids in my high school had Mustangs, and maybe I was a little jealous, maybe not, I don't know, but I've just never really connected with Mustangs for whatever reason. They've just never been my jam. But so for that reason, I didn't really. I mean, I knew a little bit about Shelby, but it was kind of cool to see, that character brought to life. And I feel like Matt Damon kind of got a lot of criticism just because he didn't really fit the physical, aspects of Carol. But I feel like he really channeled him well. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Texas accents, I do them all the time, but he did. I felt like he did a great job on that
You
film. He really
you
did.
mentioned that last time when we talked about it a little bit. I was taken again. I didn't know Carroll Shelby at that age. I knew Carroll Shelby like
Hmm.
I
Towards
knew
the end.
saw him from a distance, met him through my friends. I had no
Hmm.
affiliation whatsoever. But I did used to go to the Shelby reunions with my friend and his dad every year and whatever. So I did
Right.
see this guy. I never knew Shelby when he was of that age So I don't know that Matt Damon doesn't look that much like him. I mean, he might have Shelby had more of the barrel chest and shit like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you what you would get from meeting the man and what you would get when he was shaking your hand or whatever.
Of course.
That's there, and Matt Damon has it. And I told you last week,
Right.
whatever's in his face, I'm Carol Shelby, and that's the way it is. He had
Yeah.
all of that. And I feel
Yeah.
like
It's
Matt
funny. You
Damon would absolutely be able to, shake a hand and sell a car the same way
Yeah,
Shelby would have.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? I really respect that they kind of kept that showman aspect of Shelby in the film. They didn't kind of like try and
Airbrush it.
reinvent this person, or yeah, gloss over the fact that he was just, he's P.T. Barnum of the car world, and I was a little upset he didn't charge for the autograph to that kid in Willow Springs, but maybe that came later. Who knows? But I thought that was pretty
You brought
funny.
that up with me too. You brought that up on the phone the other day, and I didn't. I didn't. We were on the other side of that line. So for anybody else who doesn't know, I had a friend for long. I mean, years and years and years. A great car friend whose dad used to build race cars for Shelby, like at the airport over in. It's LAX now, but I think it's like FedEx and DHL over on the
Right.
south side of the runway.
Yeah, the LAX hangar.
And I think that's what is immortalized in the movie now, right? I mean, that's where they end up. Is that where it's
That's
supposed
to be the LAX hangar, but it's technically in Ontario because I mean you see the mountains in the background. It's the Ontario airport where that
But
hangar's
at
at. But
the
yeah,
very
that's
end,
where that's supposed to be. Yeah.
they CGI'd in like the Encounter restaurant and all that stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for all intents and purposes in the film, that's LAX. Yes.
There was and then we did find what on the last episode we talked about whatever there was the restaurant you were looking for. We
The
ended up
Mexican
finding
restaurant I wanted. Yeah, you found it. You found it. Yeah. That was
it.
awesome.
Sleuthing.
Yeah, that was cool. But I mean, I'm sure you used to do that with your Back to the Future stuff too, right? I mean, we did that with the Herbie World. We were like so excited when we found, whatever from Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. Oh, they actually filmed that in Lake Casitas or whatever.
Yeah, I'm more excited about the Herbie stuff because those are the real roads and everything. I mean, for the most part, Back to the Future was the back lot, and then
Studio,
anything,
yeah.
except for like the houses, like Marty's house and stuff. But they didn't spend really any time at those places, and I
Right.
think that they were probably all found by the time I was into the Back to
Right.
the Future scene. But I think what our generation did was find the actual shit that was on the car. Instead of
Yeah, definitely.
oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
looks
yeah.
like a thing, and they have this thing at
That's
Home
a
Depot
hubcap
that's
from a
similar.
Dodge Polaris. Yeah.
We were
All that.
yeah, exactly. It was sort of our generation that kind of found out what all the surplus was. And by the way, by
Yeah.
doing all that dirty work of like being a mole and digging through electronic surplus at Apex,
Yeah.
the stuff that no art person would have done because they just picked whatever, but us were trying to like get the exact part. So there must be more
Yeah.
in here. Oh,
Yeah.
you
I
got to
know.
be the same with Porsche, rare Porsche or VW parts, right? It's got
Yeah,
to be the
it's
same
all
thing.
it all applies. It's all the same stuff, man. It's just,
Scavenging.
yeah, just scavenging. Now it's eBay. I mean, back in the day, it was, like a lot of the stuff that I got from one of my Herbie cars one of the ones I restored, not the one that I preserved. I tried to get as many of the like aircraft fittings and stuff like from the surplus place in Orlando where I lived, and because that's what they used. The guy that was the head of special effects, Danny Lee for Disney, told me that there was a place that was somewhere in Burbank, and they would just go there, and it was just surplus everything. It was aircraft parts, it was electronics. I'm sure it's probably the same store they went to for the Back to the Future.
It's
stuff.
one of 3 or 4 different places, and they were all the same back then.
Right. So yeah, it's all the same. It's funny.
Wow,
Yeah,
so
crazy
wild.
stuff.
It's just wild how we had parallel lives.
Yeah, it is
so
weird.
long.
Like different movie cars, but it's all the same journey. It's very strange. And in the fact that we both kind of got burned out on it for the same reasons and totally gave it up. And then came over
Walked
to
away.
this other little world. Yeah, and now I'm back. But it's